Yo, what's going on, guys? We're going to be working on the WRX again today, so we've got a couple cool parts to swap over. Should be pretty easy, so let's do a before and after. In the time it took me to film all of that, Michael's already got one of the seats out. And he's hustling for the other one, so I'm going to help.
Everything is just...
Yeah, I can't wait to give it a good clean though.
Wait till you see under this seat. This seat's going to be hiding some shit.
I can already see it down here. Alright, so the new seats we got, I'm pretty sure they're out of a NAGD Impreza. Pretty good, we got them really cheap and they look good, so let's swap them over. Once the seats had been taken out, we gave it a quick vacuum, but we're definitely going to have to wet vac this. So we had to change over the seatbelt buckles because the actual seatbelt buckle in the car is different, but that's easy. Just cross-thread them all in. But otherwise, they bolt straight into the GC8.
It's comfy. It's comfy.
You get rid of this crusty wheel though.
Oh, it's good. Dude, the roof's gross. What's up here? There's more poo. Oh! The Jesus handle.
Got used too hard.
Yeah.
Fell off. Once we changed out these crusty seats over to the nice ones, it changed the whole feel of the car. Alright, now we're going to change over the steering wheel. So we just need a torque bit. I don't know if you can see in there. Probably not. Yeah, it's pretty weird.
It's a Japanese car with torque.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that was actually...
That was easy. Now keep that on. Thread it back on. You
yeah,
punch
because we
yourself
want
in
to
the
punch
face.
it.
Which would have been good for the video.
Should I take it back off?
Yeah. Always make sure that you leave that nut on, because look how hard he's pulling, and if the wheel lets go at any point, you would end up punching yourself in the face.
There we go.
Hey. Alright, now what are we doing?
Wheels. Genuine
We'll put the wheels on.
wheels. They look like reps, but they're not reps. We're
good.
too poor for center caps. But we got cool little valve stamps.
Yeah. Too bad we still won't be able to drive it because it will leak too much oil.
It doesn't leak, it burns. There's a big difference.
Yeah, it's way sketchier. So these wheels are the Workomotion 11R in 17x7 plus 47.
Have we not tightened something up? Did we take this off?
I don't think we've messed with the front. We haven't.
Axle's like pissed out everywhere.
More axles. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me the hub's stuck too.
Probably.
Just another thing we have to fix. Michael's doing the loudest thing in the world. Tell me in the comments if you reckon we picked the right wheels for the car. So I was playing around with the Subaru today and I took apart that hub that we thought had a bad wheel bearing, but it turns out just the axle nut was loose. I took the whole hub apart, but all I had to do was tighten up the 32mm nut in the center.
Nothing.
So the next thing I want to work on with the GC8 is I want to fix the ABS light. So the way that we do that is you have to get down here, and Subaru's pretty smart for this. What they've done is they've put in a factory plug for it, so it's like a diagnostic plug. So what we're going to do is put one of those pins into the plug, into the right spot. It goes into the bottom right of the plug, like that. So now when we turn the car on, it's gonna flash and it's gonna show us our codes. So that's 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 54. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 54 and 56, and then 11. So then it starts the codes again. Alright, so I found an old forum from 2004 that has all the ABS code numbers. When you scroll down, it says stoplight switch 54, which is the code we're getting, and 56. I don't know what the G sensor is, I'm gonna have to look into that, but the stoplight switch.
I had a quick look and I'm missing 2 tail lights.
Well, that globe looks blown, so I'll change that one out. Alright, well that turned out to be pretty easy. All it were 2 blown globes in the tail light, so I've just changed them out. Thank you, the Sora has the same globe. So now we got all our brake lights. We just need to check out that other code and work out what that is. Alright, so yeah, we ran it in the air with the wheels going, and apparently that can set it off, and it just goes away if you go for a drive. So I think now that we fixed the tail lights, hopefully the ABS light will just go away. That looks like we successfully fixed the ABS light.
Back in my last WRX video, we replaced this whole hub and disassembled the entire handbrake setup, but when I put it all back together, I never adjusted it, so the handbrake hasn't quite worked properly since.
So this is called a handbrake shoe, and it goes inside your brake disc. It's kind of like a drum brake, but you also have disc brake, so it's just for the handbrake. But what I'm adjusting is this little thing here, this like little star bit, and it pushes the shoe out, which makes it closer to this, so when you pull the handbrake, it's pushing onto this more, if that makes sense. And I'm curious what it looks like to pull the handbrake without this on it. So I'm going to set up the tripod and we're going to pull the handbrake and see what happens with all the mechanism behind there.
For science, of course. This whole job of disassembling, adjusting the handbrake and reassembling it all took about 20 minutes, and it makes a massive difference having a working handbrake on a car.
So hopefully the handbrake works now. I'm gonna go set up the tripod and we're gonna go test it by parking on a hill and see if it rolls, because it was before it couldn't hold on a hill. So we're parked on the hill, it's not in gear, foot's not on the pedals, and the handbrake is the only thing that stops the car from moving on a hill. That's pretty sick. Another thing ticked. The next issue we're having is the fuel gauge doesn't work. So even when the car's turned on, it still says empty, and it's got a full tank, but it just says empty all the time. It never moves. So I've gone ahead and I pulled the bottom of the back seat out so we can get access to where the sensor for it is. You got one over there and one here. So you want to grab your multimeter and put it on this symbol here. That one there, that's ohms, so you want to put it on a low number like 600. I've got the multimeter on the pins of the sensor and it's testing 76.6 ohms, which means it's working. Now we're going to test this one, which is way easier because it's just the two. So I've got them set on the pins and they're testing 72.7, so this one's working as well. It has nothing to do with the actual sensors, it's between this and the cluster. So I've got the cluster out and I've tested the pins on here, and it tested about 156, which checks out because it matches the 2 sensor resistance. So I put about 13 litres of fuel into the tanks. Now I'm going to test the resistance, and that one's coming up as 62.9. And this side is 40. So I've got the pins set in there. The black one's set on the fuel gauge pin and the red one's on a ground. and that gives us 103, which means the resistance is perfect and it's working all the way up to this plug, so we're losing it from this plug to the actual gauge. So I just wanted to quickly explain. So this works by when you fill the tank up, the level rises a little bit and it takes off resistance, so it goes down. So if you have a completely full tank, it'll be close to 0 ohms. And when you have a completely empty tank, it completely depends on your car, but for this car it'll be sitting around like 120 ohms per thing. So when it's sitting at about 60, that's meaning it's about half tank. So I just wanted to check a couple more things with the multimeter. So I wanted to double check the fuel gauge was getting 12 volt, which it was getting close enough. And then I wanted to make sure that there wasn't a loss of resistance from the pin on the cluster to the back of the fuel gauge. Tested flat 0. And lastly, I wanted to make sure that the ground for it was good, so I checked it off the striker there, and that was also good. Yeah, so I sent the cluster off to get checked over by my auto elect dad, and he said the gauge was working. He got it to respond with resistors and just putting power through it. So I'm not really sure what's going on, because it has everything works. All the wires work, all the resistances all the way through. Everything says it's going to work, but it just doesn't. And I'll put in a clip of me filming on my phone, not on this camera, of it just slowly going down when I put it on, which means it's got power, but it's just not getting the sensor level, like the fuel level from the sensor. It's finally working. That took so long, and the way we fixed it is so stupid. The way we fixed it was by deleting the sub sensor, so only the main one that sits on the fuel pump carrier or whatever you call it works. So only one works, and now the fuel gauge works. Because the 2 levels are wired in series, it doubles the resistance, but then for some reason the fuel gauge is like parallel, so it should only be getting what one of the sensors is sending. So that's what we've done. We just deleted one of the sensors, and now it's going to accurately show. As we've been working on this car, we've created a massive list of things we need to fix, and we're slowly getting to the end of it. But if you remember at the end of last video, when we pulled up, it was pouring out smoke from leaking oil that was just burning straight off the exhaust. So we decided we're going to change it with all genuine gaskets, and that's what we're doing in the background right now. Another one out. Right, well, we got them out, so it should be even faster to get them back in, right? Alright, now we're going to clean them, and then we'll put the gaskets in and the goo where it needs to go, and we need to change over the half moon seal that is that little bit there, and I think one there as well. Right, so we're going to use some brake cleaner. We got to make sure that we remove all the oil or anything that's left over, otherwise the new gasket won't seal properly. So now we're just going to let them dry out, which shouldn't take too long because the stuff will just evaporate. This is one of the old half moon seals. Alright, so as you can see, we've taken that little half moon out, and I've taken the one off that's down there as well. So now we just need to clean, because you have to put gasket goo here, and there's some leftover goo, so we're going to clean all that off and make sure all that flat surface is good, and we'll put new half moons on. Alright, cleaned all of these, so we're going to put the half moons in now. It looks pretty good. I must say, you're a lot better at applying this than you are pouring liquids.
It's the practice. I go home every night and just liquid pour. You see me making a cup of tea, like mint.
I didn't film any more after this point, because once we went to put the new gaskets in, we realized we had the wrong ones, which happens. After doing a lot of research, we bought the right one for like the model, but for some reason it's just different, because this model has, like, this VIN number has a different engine, which is good and bad news. Because bad news, what we ended up doing, which is so ghetto, but you know, I want to be transparent with you guys. So what we did was we put the old gaskets back in and just put the new half moons, because the old ones were destroyed, so we sealed them, put them in, and then we cleaned and put the old gaskets back in with a bit of sealer. And I mean, it's been about 2 days and we're about to find out if it's gonna leak like a sieve, which I'm like 9 out of 10 it is, and there's like a 1 out of 10% chance that it might fix the oil leak. Alright, so I got it up to temperature and just kind of went for like a, I don't even know, couple minute drive, and pulled over just to make sure that we still had oil. And you know, it was completely pouring out smoke like it has been. Like, you can, I don't know if you can even see, but yeah, it's still pouring out smoke. But I mean, that's kind of inevitable, because when we did the rocker covers, heaps of oil leaks straight out onto the exhaust. So I mean, I'm gonna quickly get under it and see if there's like a lot of oil leaking out, but it kind of just looks like it's burning off what it was before, so fingers crossed it hasn't leaked, and we'll go for a little bit more of a drive. So I went for like a 5-minute drive and there's not a drip of oil on the rocker covers, which is crazy. And from when I last did the clip and stopped and it was smoking, and to here, there's no smoke left. I checked, everything's kind of bone dry, all the oil's sort of burnt off. So I just got under the car and checked, and it's completely dry. There's not a single drop, which is just blowing my mind. I don't understand how that worked, but you know, we did do it all to the procedure. Just, yeah, we had to put the old gasket in because we didn't want to leave it open while we wait another month for real gaskets. So we changed like, oh, give us some credit. We did change the half moons, we changed the spark plug tube gaskets, we changed all the washer gaskets. The only ones we didn't change is the one that goes around the rocker, but they were quite soft, like they're done recently. We cleaned all the old gasket go off and oil and everything, and then resealed it and put it all back on. We did everything properly with RTV. We torqued them to spec. We did it in the star motion you got to do. So I mean, it pays. Like, there's not a single drop on the rocker cover. I'm pretty happy with that, because I was feeling real bad. As you could tell, I didn't record anything after that point because we were just like, this sucks. But somehow we pulled it together and it's not leaking. But I feel like once it heat cycles, it's gonna start leaking. But time will tell. We'll keep an eye on it and we'll keep cranking along. We got a couple other things that we need to fix on this car. Not much left though, and then paint. So yeah.